Welcome back. Let's talk about emotional reactions. You know the feeling someone cuts you off in traffic and you feel that hot flash of anger, or you get a critical email from your boss and your stomach just drops with anxiety. We're constantly reacting to the world around us. It's part of being human. But here's the twist. For all that we think we're in control, most of the time our emotions are actually in the driver's seat. We're not choosing our responses, we're just letting our impulses take over. Ever say something in the heat of the moment you instantly regretted? Or had your whole day thrown off track by one small, frustrating event? Maybe you found yourself shutting down or lashing out, only to wonder later, why did I do that? Hate to say it, but when we let our emotional reactions run on autopilot, we give away our power. We let outside events dictate our inner peace. So today we're breaking down 3 concrete steps to master your emotional reactions. This isn't about becoming a robot or suppressing your feelings. It's about understanding them so you can choose how you respond instead of letting them control you. And trust me, this is a skill that will change every single area of your life. All right, let's jump in. So here's the first and most powerful step we usually miss. It's creating the pause. When something happens, a trigger, there's a tiny space of time before you react. Most of us don't even notice it. The critical email comes in and instantly we feel defensiveness. The rude comment is made and instantly we feel hurt. It feels like one single event, but it's not. There's a gap. The famous psychiatrist Viktor Frankl said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response." The pause is how you find that space. It's taking one single second to just stop, to breathe. Before you type the angry reply, before you say the cutting remark, before you spiral into anxiety, just stop. One deep breath is all it takes to interrupt the autopilot. And here's the catch. Without the pause, you're a pinball, just bouncing from one reaction to the next. The world pushes a button and you react exactly as programmed. But when you introduce a pause, you give your thinking brain, your prefrontal cortex, a chance to catch up with your emotional brain. You're no longer just reacting, you're becoming aware.
The pause button incident. Let me tell you about a friend. Let's call him Adam. Adam learns about the pause and instantly thinks he's the new Zen master of the office. The very next day, his uncle starts giving him unsolicited career advice at a family dinner. Adam thinks, this is it, my moment to be mindful. So he closes his eyes, takes a deep, dramatic breath, and holds the pause for so long that everyone at the table stops talking and just stares at him. His uncle leans over, worried, and whispers, "Adam, are you okay? Should we call someone?" Adam, trying to recover, finally says something profound like, "I was choosing my response." The family just looked at him, completely confused. He learned that day that the pause is supposed to be an internal, 1-second thing, not a full minute of public meditation.
Number 2, label the emotion. Once you've paused, you've created a little bit of distance. Now you need to figure out what you're actually feeling. It sounds basic, but this is a neuroscience hack. Studies show that the simple act of naming an emotion helps to calm down the amygdala, which is the brain's alarm system. So in that moment of pause, you mentally ask yourself, okay, what is this? Instead of just being a big messy ball of anger, you identify it. This is frustration, or I am feeling disrespected right now, or this is fear of failure. Use I feel statements, not he made me angry, but I feel angry. This puts the ownership back on you and keeps you from seeing yourself as a victim of the situation. And here's the deal. When you can name the feeling, you can tame the feeling. It moves you from being inside the emotion, drowning in it, to being an observer of the emotion. You're no longer just pure rage. You are a person who is experiencing the feeling of rage. That small shift in perspective is everything. It gives you the power to see the emotion without having to act on it immediately.
The emotion detective. Tone, witty, satirical. There's this other person I know. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah gets a one-line critical email from her boss. Please double-check these figures. Instead of just getting anxious, she decides to become an emotion detective. She gets out a whiteboard. Okay, what is this feeling? She asks herself. Is it anxiety? Or is it the fear of incompetence? I detect a note of indignation. Yes, indignation with a hint of childhood trauma related to math tests. She spends the next hour creating a detailed pie chart of her emotional state. By the time she's finished her deep analysis, her boss walks over and says, "Hey, Sarah, did you check those figures?" Never mind. It was just a typo on my end. Sarah was left holding her emotional pie chart, realizing she'd spent an hour diagnosing a feeling the world had already moved on from.
And last but not least, step number 3, make a conscious choice. You've paused, you've labeled the emotion, you are no longer on autopilot. Now you're in a position of power to decide what to do next. And the key here is to ask yourself one question. What response will serve me best in the long run? Not, what do I feel like doing right now? Because your impulse might be to yell or eat a whole pint of ice cream or send a 10-page angry text. The question is, what response aligns with your values and your goals? Let's go back to that critical email from your boss. Your reaction is to fire back a defensive reply. But after you pause and label the feeling, I feel defensive and undervalued, you can make a choice. You can choose to wait an hour. You can choose to reread the email and pull out the valid points. You can choose to schedule a calm, in-person meeting to discuss it. That choice is where your power lies. It's the difference between building bridges and burning them. It's the difference between a life of thoughtful action and a life of chaotic reaction. Okay, so this all sounds great in a video, right? But how do you actually start doing this in your real, messy, everyday life? It's not about becoming a Zen master overnight. It's about starting small. So I have a challenge for you. First thing, and this is the absolute foundation, I want you to try the 1-second challenge. That's it. The next time you feel that flash of anger or that pit of anxiety, before you say a word, before you type a single letter, just stop. Inhale, exhale. That's it. Just 1 second. Think of it as hitting the emergency brake on your emotional autopilot. Once you've got that pause, the next step is to get specific. Instead of just saying, ugh, I feel bad, ask yourself, what is this really? Are you angry, or are you actually feeling disrespected? Are you sad, or are you feeling lonely? Getting specific is like turning on a light in a dark room. The monster isn't so scary when you can actually see what it is. And finally, after you pause and you name it, you ask the million-dollar question, not what do I feel like doing? Because that answer is probably yell or eat cookies. The real question is, what response will actually help me? Will firing off that angry email get you the respect you want, or will it just start a war? Aligning your response with your goal, not your impulse, is the final step. That's how you start winning. Look, mastering your emotions isn't about being numb. It's the opposite. It's about feeling everything, but not letting any single feeling hijack your life. Because at the end of the day, true freedom isn't the absence of problems, it's the ability to choose how you respond to them. Thanks for hanging out for today's episode. I'll see you in the next one, where we'll dig deep into setting boundaries and why they're the ultimate act of self-respect.